guys, welcome back. We hope you're watching this with a group or hopefully going to share this with some people around you. But I'm Harper. I'm here with Miss Pam.
Hey guys, yes, excited to be here. Rick is away, so I'm filling in for him, but he is with us here in spirit.
That's
yes.
right. Well, as we always like to do, we want to start with an icebreaker, kind of get things started a little lighthearted. And so, Pam, you have a question.
So today, as we start, I want you to think about what is the best gift you've ever received. Could have been when you were a child or an adult, but the best gift. Maybe not the most expensive, but what is the best gift you've ever received? So Harper, what's the best gift?
Can we go with even weird?
Yes.
Okay, so it can be weird. So this is a gift, not like a Christmas or a birthday or something, but I had somebody come up to me. This was a while back, and at the church we were at the time, and they came up and they said, "Hey, I've lost a lot of weight and I've got some clothes. Would you like them?"
Yes. Okay.
And that was the way they asked. And so I'm there, I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much for thinking of me. How generous."
Can't say no.
It was great. But even worse was, I of course, I took the clothes. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to dump these again. But I got them and I was like, oh, this is way too big for me even. So congrats to them. But also, I don't know what that means you think of me, but anyway.
Well, then you could pass them on to someone else, maybe through goodwill.
that was by far the weirdest gift. Yeah, Sydney and I still talk about that. So anyway, yeah.
Well, mine's not quite like that, but I was thinking about the best, and I was thinking a birthday gift was actually last year. So when I turned the big 3-0, so between some families here at church and friends, and my brother even, they paid for me to go skydiving, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Do you have a picture of you skydiving? Or
yes,
something?
I have a video.
Okay, so maybe we'll upload a clip of that right here.
We've got some really good shots, like the face we pull back. It is fantastic. If you haven't been, you should totally go. I'll go with you because I would go again.
That's great. Well, listen, take some time right now. Talk about this with your group. All right, so this week, Pastor Kivett is diving into Ephesians chapter 2, verses 4 through 10. As we talked about this, one of the things he kind of prefaced with was salvation is an invitation to join the Creator in His plan and His purpose. And so as we talked about this, he kind of broke down definitions for grace, faith, and salvation. And as we're talking about grace, that's such a big theme here. We're talking about receiving a gift you don't deserve. And so we have the icebreaker question that goes along with this. But even here, talking about this aspect of grace and the grace we've received from God, one of the things that comes up is, kind of thinking of how we've been shown grace beyond just a moment of salvation, but even in our lives continuing. And so as we think about this, not just even from God, but even towards others, that's kind of something we want to focus on. So when's a time that you've been shown grace by someone, or maybe you've been able to show grace to someone else?
Well, I have so many instances. When you are working with children, they teach you so much, being as a classroom teacher, even with kids here at church. And I remember a specific time, I'm not going to give names, to protect the innocent, but there was an item in the room that had gone missing. And I was sure it was, the one kid. And so I talked to them, asked them, and they said, no, it wasn't me. And this, and I was like, okay, well, come to find out later that it had just been misplaced and it moved by someone else. And so I needed to be shown grace. So I went to this kid and I asked, please forgive me. I didn't, I accused you and it wasn't your fault. And their kids are so gracious. They were like, absolutely. They willing to give forgiveness and show grace when I didn't deserve it. Yeah. As well as the other way around when, the kids that do something and, you know what, this is what you deserve. You messed up and so you really don't deserve to watch this movie with us. But you know what?
Yeah.
Show you grace. So many opportunities to be shown grace and give grace.
That's
neat, kids.
Especially with kids, yeah. As I think about this, I think of some specific examples, but I think one of the things that keeps reoccurring for me, so a theme that kind of reoccurs, is kind of showing grace in terms of not assuming things. So whenever something happens, it's easy for me to assume what has happened and kind of a person's intent behind why they did this or why they did not do something. And so that's been something where I've caught myself, I could probably think of a story, but But thinking of, that's where I've learned to, okay, whenever something like that happens, don't assume their intent, but ask questions. As someone else puts, I think Pastor Dwayne probably puts it like this: seek to understand before seeking to be understood, basically. And so kind of showing grace in that way of, okay, I'm not going to assume I know your intent behind why you did this, or why you didn't do this. Instead, I'm going to ask and understand, and then know, oh, I didn't see that perspective. And so that's been something for me, to be able to see someone else's perspective and understand a little more. Whereas if I had come in without being gracious, it would have been very much so, oh, that's not what I meant. Oh, okay, well, see ya. So that could be it saved awkward conversations, and also having to show even more grace, I guess. Maybe, if that's a way.
We all need grace and have times to show grace. So go ahead and discuss that with your group right now. All right, so talking about times where we have needed grace in our lives and shown grace in our lives, Pastor Kivett kind of moved into talking about in Ephesians how our works and how, our nature is to want to earn our way for anything. People are successful. So our next question is, why do we assume that our deeds will impact our eternity?
Yeah, so it was interesting because even during the sermon, he's quoted, Warren Buffett and Michael Bloomberg, and how they believe they've earned enough or done enough by giving away money, or helping people with their political position, enough to deserve to be entered into heaven. And as I thought about this, the reason this is written in Ephesians is because the people then needed this reminder. So during this time, they're saved, and they're going from the law to this grace, and that's difficult because it's so entrenched in their identity and their family and all that stuff. And so as you think about that, they needed that reminder, but at the same time, it's there still today because we need that reminder. And it may not be in the same exact way as they had it, but there are definitely ways we do that too. And so thinking about the heart of this, a lot of it, I think, is going back to kind of our ultimate issue with sin as a whole. It goes back to Adam and Eve in the garden. They wanted to be like God. And so I think in a lot of ways we do this because we want to be in control. We believe that we then have the control of what we're doing in our actions, and so we feel like we are becoming like God. That's one of the things that I think of is we do this as a way of kind of having that power and that control over our own destiny, instead of having to kind of sit back and just relying and trusting on what God says and what God has already done for us.
And absolutely, another part of that, in our mindset, in our culture today, you have to work for what you get. But also I think is that you don't want to owe anyone. It's like if you invite somebody over for dinner and they're like, okay, we got to have you over for dinner. Like, that's not how it works. Maybe it's just thing, but we kind of have that mindset, even though that's not grace and that's not what Jesus is talking about. And so I think when we think about even the gifts of God, like there's nothing we can do to earn or do that, but we owe God. I mean, we really do. And I know for me, a lot of times when I'm doing these works or trying to work for it, I'm like, oh, well, I gotta, God did this for me, I gotta do this for him, or, and so we don't like that feeling of we owe somebody something.
It's like the thank you note for the thank you note.
Yes.
Yeah, nice, very cool. Well, take a moment and talk about this now. So to start off the service, I know it seems like we're going a little backwards here, but to start off the service, Pastor Kivett shared the story of John Wesley and Charles Wesley as we started off with the song "And Can It Be," written by John Wesley, but then this story he told of them being on missions trips and doing all this, and then in the midst of this, they've kind of come to this realization that they're not saved. They're doing these good things for God, but then they realize they're not saved, and so really this song came out of that time in their lives. And so it's really interesting to think about that. And a quote that John Wesley gave regarding this is, "I had the heart of a servant, but not a son." And so as we think of that, even in our own lives, how do we sometimes have that in our own lives where we have these hearts of servants, but we're missing out on having the hearts of a son or a daughter with God?
Mm-hmm. And I personally think about that, a lot of it has to do with our intention and whether we even realize it or not. A lot of things we do because we've always done it. Maybe even if it is good things, going to church, doing this ministry, or serving in the community in some way. We do it, maybe not with the intention of this is for the Lord. This is my worship to Him. This is glory to Him. But it's something I've always done. I'm going to check this off, or it's just something I have to do. And so I think that's where it kind of comes down to, why are we doing what we do? And what's the point?
Right.
But,
Yeah. No, that's really good because I think of that, kind of as we think about this, I wrote this down with thinking through this as we focus so much on our production instead of focusing on our position. And so it's again, kind of, for me, I keep going back because maybe this is more my tilt and lean in this is kind of that control or the power aspect of it, of, to be able to sit in the position of an adopted son or daughter that didn't do anything to earn God's love, where he chose us for adoption as sons and daughters to him based on his love, not on ours. And so that takes a lot to rest in that and actually trust in that. And so even to sustain us through our sanctification process as believers, where it's, okay, I still don't have to do anything to earn God's love, or it doesn't change my position with him. I'm already secure in my position with God. And so that's really tough. And so, even like what Pastor Kivett said, we're saved by good works, but if we're saved, we will do good works. And so there's even that dichotomy there of, verse 9, it's not by works you're saved, but then in verse 10, you're saved like by God for good works, basically, to do good works. And so it's that, okay, which is which here? And you're right, it goes back to intent. What's your motive behind it? Are you going to church on Sundays because that's just what you do and that's what culture says? And I think during this time especially, we've seen that, okay, if I don't go to church, it doesn't mean God loves me less, but we're still able to have that growing relationship with God. We're still able to be together as a body of believers. And so some of those things have been pushed a little bit during this time, and that's a good thing as well.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead and discuss this question with your groups now. All right, so the very last thing this Sunday when Pastor Kivett gave us a challenge, and that's something we, challenge us we got to do, is to read a commentary on Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. So Harper, where are some places that people can find commentaries?
Yeah, so if you raid Pastor Rick's office, you'll find plenty of them. Otherwise, you can go online and search for commentaries. There's a lot of different ones out there. I know Pastor Kivett has mentioned before, like John MacArthur is one of those. There's Matthew Henry. There's some, a lot of different resources you can find on the internet as far as physical books. If you need anything, reach out to us. You can't find something, we can certainly help you with that.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions or any comments, you can email us at info@salembaptistnow.org. And we just want to thank you for taking your time and joining us here on this episode of The Pursuit.
Yeah, thanks so much. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe so you automatically get notified when we upload these videos and other videos too. Feel free to go back and watch. If you weren't able to watch this past week's sermon, you can go back and watch that. Past Pursuit videos or other sermons or videos, you can do all that there. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.